Hello, everyone. Thank you for stopping by. We have a story today that is not just news, it is a national debate playing out in real time, touching the raw nerves of justice, security, and survival. Before we dive deep into this one, please take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us tell these complex stories with the depth and fairness they deserve. Our focus today is on a quiet ceremony that happened behind the high walls of the Malam Sidi camp in Borno State. While it didn't make a lot of noise, the ripples from this event are being felt in every market, every village, and every home across northern Nigeria and beyond. Let's set the scene. It's Thursday, February 19, 2026. In Abuja, inside the Nigerian Army Resource Center, the air is cool and air-conditioned. Seated around a polished table are high-level stakeholders, military top brass, representatives from the Office of the National Security Advisor, and even international partners from Norway, the UK, and the EU. There are also delegates from our neighbors, Burkina Faso, Chad, Niger, and Cameroon. They are here to discuss a group of 117 men. These men are graduates, not of a university or a polytechnic, but of the federal government's Disarmament, Rehabilitation, and Reintegration Program under Operation Safe Corridor. Brigadier General Y. Ali, the coordinator of Operation Safe Corridor, stood before the gathering and delivered the update. 117 clients, as they are officially called, from Borno State had successfully completed their de-radicalization process at the Malam Sidi camp. He called it a reflection of strengthened federal-state harmonization. Now, let's pause here for a moment. Imagine the scene at that camp. For months, these 117 men who may have once laid ambushes, planted bonds, or enforced the rule of the caliphate, were taught a different way. They underwent psychological counseling, ideological reorientation, and vocational training. The theory is sound. Give a man a skill, change his thinking, and he will choose a hoe over an AK-47.
But here's where the story gets deeper. This isn't just about 117 men. It's about a shift in strategy. Brigadier General Ali also confirmed that Operation Safe Corridor is expanding. It has already moved into the northwest, with a camp established in Zamfara state as far back as February last year. They are now in talks with Zamfara to recalibrate that facility. And in the north-central, Benue state, a state that has known the anguish of headsmen militancy and communal clashes, has formally requested its own DRR camp. The defense chief, General Olufemi Oluyede, represented by Major General Jamal Abdusalam, defended the program passionately. He stated that while the military's kinetic operations, the bombs and bullets, create the space for peace, it is structured rehabilitation and reintegration that sustains those gains and prevents a return to violence. Now, let's look at this clearly. While the Defense Headquarters is finalizing modalities for the release of these 117 men and planning to build more camps for repentant bandits and terrorists, there is another group of Nigerians who feel completely forgotten. Another angle to this issue is the victims. Let's take a walk through a fictitious but all too real community in Borno. Imagine a woman named Hajia Fati. In 2014, Boko Haram fighters stormed her village. They killed her husband, burned her farm, and she fled with her 3 children, living for years in a squalid IDP camp. Her children missed school, her health deteriorated, she lost everything. Today, Hajia Fati might have been resettled, but resettled doesn't mean restored. She is back in a village with no roof, no seed for planting, and no money to start over. She relies on the kindness of NGOs and international charities for food and medicine. The government, she feels, is absent. And then she hears the news. The government has spent billions of naira feeding, clothing, training, and rehabilitating 117 of the very men who might have been part of the group that destroyed her life. They are being given a second chance. They will get startup capital, skills, and a new identity.
This brings us to the critical questions we must ask ourselves today. Is there any justification for a situation where the federal and state governments abandon victims at the mercy of NGOs, yet spend a fortune on the rehabilitation of those who terrorize them? Would this not send a dangerous signal to other struggling youths that the fastest way to get a government-sponsored education and startup capital is to pick up a gun and then repent? If you think the government's decision is straightforward, you haven't been on X, formerly Twitter, or Facebook this week. The reactions are fiery and they cut to the heart of this dilemma. Many Nigerians are angry. They are angry because they remember the faces of the Chibok girls, the Dapchi girls, and the thousands of soldiers who have fallen. An opinion piece in The Sun captured this rage perfectly, quoting the wife of late Lieutenant Colonel Ibrahim Sakaba, who was killed by terrorists. She cried out, "I should forgive them for making me a young widow? I should forgive them for killing my husband, his brother, and his mom?" This sentiment is widespread. People feel that forgiveness is being forced upon them by the government without their consent. They argue that these repentant terrorists are surrendering not out of remorse, but out of battle fatigue. They are tired of fighting, so they are taking the easy way out. Critics point to the countless peace deals in states like Zamfara and Katsina, where bandits have collected money and motorcycles only to return to the bush and resume kidnapping. The news of the peace deal in Katsina in January hasn't stopped the bloodshed, so why would this be any different?
But here is the counter-argument. Are there Nigerians who support this? Yes, there are. And they are not necessarily sitting in comfort in Abuja. Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum is perhaps the strongest voice in favor, and he has a valid point. He recently stated that over 90% of these repentant members are genuine and that they are helping the government by calling their former colleagues in the bush to come out and surrender. From his perspective, living in the epicenter of the insurgency, this is a numbers game. For every terrorist who surrenders and is rehabilitated, that is one less fighter the military has to hunt. It also dries up the pool of recruits for the insurgents. Supporters of the program argue that if you kill every single person who was forced or coerced into joining the insurgency, you will never have peace. They say that the DRR program, while imperfect, is the only pathway to eventually closing this dark chapter. From this point, we need to understand the confusion. The Nigerian government is, in essence, trying to run two conflicting systems at once. On one hand, you have the victims who deserve the right to return. They deserve to have their homes rebuilt by the government, their farms restocked, and their trauma compensated. The government has a committee for this, but the progress is painfully slow. On the other hand, you have the repentant combatants who are being processed through a well-oiled machine with international partners, clear timelines, and structured support. This disparity creates a moral hazard. It makes citizenship seem like a disadvantage. If you behave well, you suffer. If you behave badly and then say sorry, you get a stipend. So we have to ask the hard question: has the DRR program actually helped? Since it started in 2016, has it curbed the scale of recruitment into Boko Haram? The honest answer is complicated. While thousands have passed through the program, the ideology of terror hasn't disappeared. It has just shifted geographically to the northwest and mutated into banditry. The fact that we are now expanding the program to other zones suggests that while the fire in the northeast is being contained, the embers have floated to start new fires elsewhere. If the DRR program hasn't singularly solved the problem, what are the best strategies to end terrorism in Nigeria? Looking at the stakeholders meeting, one thing is clear. The international community, ICRC, IOM, UK, EU, is heavily invested. This suggests that the solution isn't just military, it's economic. A young man who can make a living from the vocational skill he learned at Malam City is less likely to go back to the bush, but the same opportunity must be available to the son of a victim who didn't pick up a weapon. Therefore, the best strategy is even-handed rehabilitation. The government must be seen to be as passionate about rebuilding the homes of the displaced as they are about rehabilitating the displaced fighters. As the 117 graduates of Operation Safe Corridor prepare to leave the Malam City camp and return to society, perhaps to a community near you, we are left with more questions than answers. The Defense Headquarters assures us that the program is integrity-driven and that the graduates have truly changed. We have to hope they are right. We have to hope that these men will become ambassadors for peace rather than sleeper agents for future violence. But as we close, let's remember the human side. For every terrorist who repents, there is a victim who cannot forget. Healing Nigeria requires both justice and mercy. The balance right now feels off. It feels like the machinery of state is working better for those who broke the law than for those who obeyed it. What do you think? Does rehabilitating 117 terrorists make us safer, or does it encourage more violence by showing that crime pays? Drop your comments below. Let's get this conversation going. And if you made it to the end of this deep dive, please click that subscribe button right now. Share this video so the voices of the victims can be heard just as loudly as the news from the stakeholder meetings. Thank you for listening, and stay safe.